All right, people, welcome back to New York Out Game Knicks Weekly Live. It's your boy Dexter Henry, joined by Bryan Fonseca. We hope everybody had themselves a great Thanksgiving weekend. I know we did. We saw you guys Thanksgiving weekend. We did this thing on Friday after the Charlotte game on Black Friday. That was a lot of fun. But the Knicks, they've been doing some winning since then. They got 3 wins in a row. They've won 8 out of their last 10. Their most recent win coming against the Magic on Tuesday night. Big NBA Cup game. The Knicks sweep Group A of the NBA Cup, and they did it with a very impressive victory, 121-106 over the Orlando Magic. And look, this was not close for quite some time, folks. The Knicks dominated this game offensively. There was all this talk going into this game. The Magic's defense vaunted #1 in the league, one of the best defenses in the NBA. Well, the Knicks, they're the best offense in the NBA, and offense won. Offense won here. 121-106. So a really impressive performance by the Knicks in that game. I think one of my favorite moments for the game, Bryan, and I saw you tweet this out, yeah, and I knew you would love this moment, was Karl-Anthony Towns backing down. It was Franz Wagner. Was it Wagner? Or Mo Wagner
It was
was
Mo
guarding him. Mo
Wagner.
Wagner.
That would not be Franz Wagner. Mo
No, Mo
Wagner's a
Wagner
different
was
level of
guarding him.
physicality.
Clearly fouls him. Clearly fouls him. And Karl-Anthony Towns is annoyed, gave the ref the annoyed look, then spun fadeaway baseline and buries the fadeaway. And it was beautiful. One of my favorite moments from the game. And what did you make of what you saw from the Knicks in this game against what was a very good defense? They've been playing very well, had won, 6 games in a row heading into that contest. And the Knicks took care of business at home, man.
A Magic team that has been playing just fine without Paolo Banchero, who's going to be back soon. And an Orlando Magic team who's had a very good start to the season. I actually was concerned a little bit, Dex, because I saw the Magic come out to a 14-6 lead.
Oh, early in the game.
Yeah.
Got you.
14-6 lead, and I was like, oh, is Orlando going to have this kind of shooting performance? They made, I think, all of their first 3 threes attempted, and then they shot 6 of 36 the rest of the game from 3 and kind of fell off from there. The one thing I did notice was 14-6. 14-6 may have been the Magic's biggest lead in this game also. Jalen Brunson, we talked about his leadership qualities. That may have been over the phone or last week's episode. I don't remember. But Jalen Brunson gets to a floater and sort of shuts down this early Magic surge. And then the very next play was when he gets the screen and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has to make a decision. Am I going to go over and sort of commit here, or am I going to just play for the switch, hope for the best that my big Wendell Carter Jr. in this case can survive with Jalen Brunson? And I guess multiple things happen at the same time because he commits, Jalen Brunson crosses him, and then Wendell Carter Jr. has to do the dance with Jalen Brunson anyway. Jalen Brunson gets the oohs and ahs from the crowd, hits the shot, and from there, the game kind of just changed, right? The Knicks go on this run. They have 11 unanswered points in the first quarter, and they've never really looked back. Like the Magic have a couple of like smaller runs or whatever the case may be, but the Knicks really build on that lead in the second and third quarter in particular, where they really put this thing away. And that sort of sparked it. Like there were a bunch of different instances where you knew they were firing all cylinders. That was one of them. Another one being in a couple different instances, you see Josh Hart and OG Anunoby just decide to take Jonathan Isaac one-on-one. Jonathan Isaac, who's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And ultimately, like, you know, you have Deuce McBride relocating off of misses and just errant passes where Jericho Sims, like, he kind of like mishandles a pass on the inside. He looks over. Deuce McBride is all of a sudden relocating. Wide open 3. Like Deuce McBride had another great game. And this was a game, Dex, where if you want to call it this, the core 4 of the Knicks, we know who that is. That's Karl-Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, and Mikal Bridges, all score between 18 and 23 points in this game each. Shoot a collective 31 of 56 from the field. And when your star players do that, you're just going to win damn near every time.
Yeah, it's really tough to beat all 5 Knicks starters in this game in double figures. Out of that core 4, you left out Josh Hart, who's the 5th starter. Obviously, he had a triple-double. He had a triple-double in this one. Yeah, with 11 points, 13 boards, and 10 assists. Josh Hart, as I keep saying, continues to do Josh Hart things. Listen, I think when you looked at this people will say, oh, it's fine. The Knicks also, and we'll get to this a little bit later, this is not a great offensive Magic team. We understand that. They're a very good defensive team, and they had problems with the Knicks. The Knicks have had some issues with teams that are very switch heavy and can switch everything 1 through 5. Those teams have given their offense a bit of trouble this season. When you look at the Rockets, when you look at the Celtics, and the Mavericks are another team, I would say those teams have given the Knicks a little bit of trouble, teams that can switch everything 1 through 5. But this was a good defensive team in Orlando, and the Knicks handled them pretty easy. The offense looked very fluid. And yes, I was I wouldn't say I was concerned early on because you brought that up, Bryan, but I do think that I remember when they got down, they hit those threes. Contavious Caldwell Pope looks hot early on. I'm thinking to myself, okay, how does this team respond? That was my thing. You get punched in the mouth. You're a boxing guy. We both love boxing. You get punched in the mouth. It's about how you respond. And I think how the Knicks responded in that way at home, also knowing they had to win this game to pretty much advance. They didn't have a lot going in their favor in terms of point differential. So they had to win this game at home to advance in the NBA Cup. And yes, I don't know about you guys, but here I care about the NBA Cup. Okay. I care a lot about the NBA Cup. I like playing for other trophies.
Yep.
Hey, folks, you don't just have to play for one trophy. It's fine. I like the NBA Cup.
Well, but the reason why you and I like this is because you're a soccer fan. I'm an international basketball guy, where overseas in Europe and South America and Africa and Asia, they have these tournaments within the season that are for these. Everyone understands it's not the championship, but it's something. And ultimately, you're competitive. You want to win more money. You just want to win, period. You want to beat your peers at something. And going to Vegas and the whole thing, like it's pretty enticing for players, and I think it's going to grow over time. We also just really quickly, because we mentioned Cat and the viral moment with Mo Wagner, where he just kind of gives him the face and just makes that super clean turnaround jumper. Like, imagine if he would have missed. But I want to give Karl-Anthony Towns props because of those 4 guys that I mentioned, he's the only one that shot under 50%. But I think this is a bonus because Mo Wagner is the type of dude where if you play like a video game, if you watch a documentary, like, and you're watching this up and coming center tell their story about like, yo, when I was in the league, this, that, and the third, in my rookie year, I had to play this guy. And they don't talk about the stars. The first guy they talk about is like Mo Wagner, where he roughs you up in that game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He elbows you in the back. He damn near puts you in a headlock. He hooks you. He knees you, all the dirty stuff, right? But Karl-Anthony Towns, to his credit, he puts up 18 shots in a game where some other bigs might feel that physicality and tonight's not the night. I'm going 6 for 11. I'm packing it in. I'm not putting up a volume of shots or whatever the case would be. Towns was aggressive, and he shot the most I think he shot the most out of every Knick in this game. So I think that's encouraging to see because we know what was being said about Karl-Anthony Towns once the trade was made.
And we're going to get into more of that later. Thank you for everybody rocking with us. If you're watching on Twitter, watching on YouTube, watching on Facebook, hit that like button, share, hit the subscribe button if you're there too. We appreciate all of you guys. If you have any questions or comments for us, please let us know. Thank you for joining us on New York Got Games and Knicks Weekly Live. Jonathan Macri, the Dean of Knicks Film School, he'll be joining us around 7:45, so in about 5 minutes or so. We'll have J-Mac joining us, one of my favorite people to talk Knicks basketball with, joining us here. Will be a good one. Now, before we get J-Mac on here, one of the other things we got to talk about is the Knicks can get a little healthier soon, okay? Precious Achiuwa close to returning. He is listed right now as questionable for tomorrow's game against the Hornets. So Precious Achiuwa, much needed reinforcement off the bench, another big that can help. I talked to somebody who helped recruit him in high school. My guy Peter Way was on with me a couple weeks ago and talked about how the fact that he believes that he can really help here. I'm excited to see Precious back. He was playing good in the preseason before he got hurt. What do you think he can help and bring to this team if he comes back and is indeed 100% healthy, Bryan?
Size, switchable defense, interior defense, potential rebounding, like all the things that you kind of think this team needs from just a defensive standpoint and just a depth standpoint. Like, they need depth. They need all the things I mentioned just from a basketball standpoint. And then functionally, like, Jericho Sims needs some help, and some would say Jericho Sims doesn't need to be playing that much. So I think he's been fine lately, but you want to see Precious Achiuwa out there. You want to see Precious Achiuwa out there because of the versatility he could provide. The defense is going to get better. Jay Quaza, shout out to him in the comments. Keith Watkins as well, and anybody else who wants to drop a comment, feel free. We will put them on throughout the show.
What's up, Jay Quaza?
Jay makes an interesting point where, and I was going down this road. Precious comes back, the defense gets better. He's baby Ihart to me. So baby Isaiah Hartenstein. I kind of get it, different type of big, I feel like, but, can give you like some of that stability that you want from a big who can come off the bench. And, he may spot start at points this season just because like the nature of the NBA. So I think he's going to be a critical piece.
Yeah, I think he's critical. I see what you're saying there, Jay Quaza, too, right? Ihart was very skilled at rebounding the ball, especially on the offensive glass. The Knicks don't need offensive rebounds as much as they do this year. You know why? Because they actually make shots. They're just a better, more efficient shooting team. But where I think he can help a little bit is he's a much better passing big than Sims off the bench. I think that stuff kind of matters. Help him pick and roll. He just gives a little bit more to his offensive game. And this is not to get on Sims, because I actually think Sims was fine, and we'll talk about Sims later in the show. I think Sims has been fine, especially over these about last 10 to 11 games. He's been really fine in terms of protecting the paint and rebounding the ball. But I do think Precious Achiuwa will help a lot defensively with this team and help just even a little bit of scoring off the bench. Just gives them another look, and I think that's helpful for this Knicks team going forward, just to help them on the defensive end, also on the offensive end across the bench. So I see the baby Ihart comparison there.